come to order. Clerk will check the roll.
Chair Lauterbach.
Here.
Representative Moody.
Present.
Representative Bowers. Representative Little.
Here.
Representative Money.
A quorum is present. As a quick reminder, anyone present wishing to testify before the committee, please register at the kiosk located in the hallways behind the hearing rooms. If you require assistance in registering or testifying, please get with the committee staff. Due to time constraints and desire of the chair to move quickly through our agenda and to accommodate all who may wish to testify, there'll be a hard limit of 2 minutes per witness during the public testimony period. Please observe that. With that, we will begin.
Go ahead and announce this real quick.
Who's here? Matt's here. Stan's
I'll
here.
announce that really quickly.
House Bill 3207 will not be heard today at the bill author's request.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get him out.
Let's see who we got here today.
David Hawkins just, 2915 has no witnesses. Let's go ahead and do that one.
Want to do 2915 first?
And then we can go to her.
Okay. The chair lays out House Bill 2915 and recognizes Chairman Shaheen to explain the bill.
Good morning, Chairman Lauterbach and members. Thank you for the opportunity to lay out HB 2915. The legislation strengthens the criminal penalty for rigging a sporting event, elevating the offense from a Class A misdemeanor to a state jail felony. Under current law, rigging a sporting event is a Class A misdemeanor. With the increased prominence of sports betting, the current penalty is no longer adequate. HB 2915 raises the penalty to a state jail felony. This legislation ensures that those who manipulate public contests face consequences that match the seriousness of the offense, thus protecting the integrity and fairness of competitions across the state of Texas. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions. Reserve my right to close.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Chairman Shaheen? See no questions and no witnesses.
That's how I like it.
Oh, yeah. Is anyone here testifying on, for, or against House Bill 2915? Seeing none. Okay, you are closing.
I close, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, real quick. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Lauterbach. Representative Shaheen, is there something that prompted the filing of this bill, some event or that resulted in wanting to file this?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at just sporting events in general, whether it's NFL or college sporting events, the prominence and the promotion of sports betting continues to increase. There's clearly an effort in the state of Texas to expand gambling, which I strongly oppose. The impact to our state would be devastating. If you look at domestic violence, if you look at not only domestic violence, but sex trafficking, it would be incredibly harmful. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that these items that we address specifically, and if you look at the ability, even though sports betting is illegal in the state of Texas, there are technically ways around it. So what we want to do is, if there is an opportunity where somebody's confronted with fixing the sporting event, the penalty is increased.
I appreciate the context. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 2915 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 544 and recognizes Representative Gerben Hawkins to explain the bill. Morning.
Morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. This bill is related to the imposition of consecutive sentences for more than one criminal offense that targets the abuse of children, the elderly, and the disabled arising out of the same criminal episode. Current law already allows consecutive sentences for certain offenses like continuous sexual abuse of young children. However, Consecutive sentencing is limited for cases involving repeated injury to children, elderly, or disabled individuals unless the injuries meet certain standards. This bill was originally filed due to a case in my district which made the news when 8 children were found unattended in a northeast Bexar County house. A 3-year-old girl had been tied to a door with a leash, and a 2-year-old boy was chained up in the backyard. Many of the children had scars on their backs that suggested that they had been whipped regularly. Preliminary investigations found that the wounds that resulted from the horrific abuse did not meet the legal standard for serious bodily injury. As a result, prosecutors initially only brought a third-degree charge against the alleged child abusers. People were outraged that this kind of abuse wasn't charged more severely, but the prosecutors' hands were tied due to current statute. Eventually, further investigation led to more evidence that did allow the authorities to bring more serious charges, but the case itself illuminates a problem. We need to close the gap in our law by creating an offense to target those who abuse elderly individuals, children, and the disabled who abuse the individuals, children, and the disabled. So House Bill 544 addresses this gap by expanding the court's ability to impose consecutive sentences for multiple offenses of injury to a child, elderly individual, or disabled individuals arising from the same criminal episodes, regardless of whether injuries are categorized as serious bodily injury. Specifically, the bill amends Section 3.03B of the Penal Code to allow consecutive sentences for multiple convictions under Section 22.04, injury to a child, elderly individual, or disabled individual, without requiring the offense to be a first-degree felony. In Bexar County alone, there were over 50,000 confirmed abuse and neglect child abuse victims in fiscal year 2024. Bexar County now ranks 3rd highest in Texas for confirmed abuse and neglect cases, with 4,800 victims identified. In Texas, Adult Protective Services reported a total of 88,004 confirmed and alleged victims of abuse in Texas for fiscal year 2024. Members of the committee, we must ensure that we protect those who cannot protect themselves. Our children, elderly, and disabled are among our most vulnerable groups. Without this legislation, we restrict our judges and decision makers. This bill allows them to access the tools to make sure that anybody who is an abuser truly gets punished at the level they should by allowing for consecutive sentences. This is a key tool that our judges and DAs need to have so people do not think they can get away with crimes and only receive a slap on the wrist. They need to know that this is a major offense. It is imperative that those who abuse these groups be punished with the full force of the law. With that, Mr. Chair, I respectfully reserve my right to close or answer any questions.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Representative Gervin Hawkins? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 544? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Gervin Hawkins to close on the bill.
Mr. Chair, members, I know it's always difficult when we're talking about escalating penalties. I know that's hard. But when we talk about ongoing abuse in these cases with the most vulnerable populations, we need to do that to at least give people a disincentive to continue doing what they're doing. And thank you. And with that, I close.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 544 is left pending. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Don't go far.
Okay.
Stay right there.
All righty.
Chair lays out House Bill 689 and recognizes Representative Gervin Hawkins to explain the bill.
All right, Mr. Chair, members, this one here, This bill, HB 689. There's a severe issue with violence on our public transportation networks. I'm sure you have seen those horrible news stories about attacks on trains and buses worldwide. Well, it's happening in our cities and districts too. In March of 2025, an attack on a CAP Metro vehicle left an innocent woman seriously injured. There have been several incidents of violence in my constituency based San Antonio. There was an incident where 2 passengers engaged in a knife fight on the bus. And in a separate incident, someone punched a driver sitting behind the wheel. These events endanger everyone on board. An attack on a bus driver might as well be an attack on everyone on or near the bus. From March 2023 to March 2025, there were over 136 cases of passengers and operators being assaulted on via transit vehicles. In 2022, there were 492 assaults on the public transit vehicles, as reported by the Urban Institute. Violence against transit workers has tripled since 2008. We already have statutes that address violence, but none are explicitly tailored toward public transportation. Many in our state, especially in urban areas, rely on public transportation to and from work or school. So the least we can do for our constituents is to ensure they make it safely to their destination. Creating an offense particular to public transportation will set a precedent that violence is not tolerated anywhere and inform those who decide to commit such a hideous crime, such a hideous act of the consequences, or suffer the consequences. HB 689 addresses these issues by raising the penalty for those who commit violent crimes on public transportation systems. We need our drivers, and they should not be afraid or in danger. With this bill, if a Class B misdemeanor assault takes place on a transit system, then the offense will be upgraded to a Class A misdemeanor. If the crime is punishable as a Class A misdemeanor, then the minimum term of confinement for the offense is increased to 180 days. Currently, the minimum term of confinement for a Class A misdemeanor in Texas is 0 days. If the crime is punishable as a felony of the first degree, the punishment for that offense may not be increased. No one should fear for safety when getting to work or school or anywhere else that they're going. A vehicle means a bus, a rail car, rolling stock, or another vehicle used by the public for mass transit purposes. The purpose of HB 689 is to protect people in small, enclosed spaces or moving vehicles. Its scope is therefore limited to the vehicles themselves. The bill does not impose heavier penalties in bus stops, transit centers, or parking areas. This is a unique bill, and I know that. More than half of the country's states already provide enhanced penalties for violent crimes against transit operators and passengers. But the bill helps keep our drivers and passengers safe. Mr. Chair, members, I had the opportunity to sit with some drivers and to hear the horrific stories and the fear. And just like many other our professions, if we are not able to get that support, we can't get those workers there. So with that, Mr. Chair, and I do believe I have some witnesses, I reserve my right to close or answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Representative Gerben Hawkins? Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair calls Daryl Jamal. You're registered as Gerald Jamal from the Capital Metropolitan Transportation Authority?
Yes, Chair.
And you're testifying on for against House Bill 689?
Testifying for.
4. Okay, thank you. Good, go ahead.
Chairman Louderback, members of the subcommittee, good morning. My name is Daryl Jamil, Senior Director of Public Safety and Emergency Management for Cap Metro. As a former law enforcement officer and dedicated public servant of 30 years, I testify in support of House Bill 689. Cap Metro provides over 26 million annual rides across our 549 square mile service area, serving 7 cities and parts of 2 counties. Transit agencies statewide are vital for connecting people to essential destinations. HB 689 strengthens public transit safety by increasing penalties for serious crimes like assault, sexual offenses, and robberies committed on transit vehicles. This bill recognizes the unique vulnerability of passengers and operators in these often unpredictable, confined environments with limited options to remove themselves from dangerous situations. While operating a modern, efficient, and accessible transit system, Cap Metro emphasizes safety. Our comprehensive public safety program deploys the appropriate response for each situation, including our recently TCOL certified in-house transit police team. Prevention is crucial alongside effective response. HB 689 enhances prevention by aligning penalties with the severity of these offenses, fostering the emotional and psychological safety of the riders. HB 689 sends a strong message. Public transit is not a place where predatory or violent behavior will be tolerated, and perpetrators of criminal activity will be swiftly and appropriately penalized under the law. When this kind of reliable and predictable safety is achieved consistently, our economic vitality as a region and state stands to benefit, encouraging greater transit use for commerce and participation in our economy. Cap Metro is committed to protecting all who use our services. HB 689 supports this mission in our daily operations. Thank you for your consideration and for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you. Members, any questions of this witness? Rep. Little.
Thanks, Chairman Lauterbach. Thank you for your testimony here today. How many of these events do you have on Cap Metro on an annual basis?
I can get the specifics for you on that.
Can you just give me a sense?
I would say the picture that Representative Hawkins laid out that VIA experiences, we experience that same level at Cap Metro. I would say on a weekly basis, we get probably 1 or 2 serious assaults, and that's an assault with injury, whether it's a passenger being assaulted or an operator being assaulted.
1 or 2 a week?
Yes. And those are the serious ones. Now, the lower level things, the disorderly conduct, the verbal abuse that our operators take is, I would say, a daily occurrence.
Okay. Do you have the ability to ban people from the service?
Yes, we do.
You do? Okay. And how often does that happen?
I would say in those cases are vetted carefully. It's in the egregious repeat cases that we do, and I would say maybe 2 or 3 a year.
Okay.
Would be what we would see based on that level of offense.
Yeah.
And the length of the suspension varies depending. Sometimes it's not indefinitely. Sometimes it's pending other considerations.
So one of my concerns is taking one problem and creating 2 problems. It seems to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of those major events are driven by mental illness. Do you think that there's an overlap there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And so when they commit that offense, they're going to be in a county jail for 180 days, right, under this bill?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
No questions? Thank you, sir. The chair calls Kenneth Daniels. We have you registered as Kenneth Daniels
Yes, sir.
as a bus operator,
Yes, sir.
and you represent
ATU Local 1091,
Eight-
Amalgamated Transit Union.
ATU Local 1091 and yourself, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're on for or against House Bill 689?
4.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Lauterbach and members of the committee. I appreciate this opportunity to share my thoughts on transit safety today. My name is Kenneth Daniels, and I've worked for 29 years as a bus operator in Austin and as a shop steward for the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1091. ATU strongly supports House Bill 689 and we request your support to pass the bill to protect transit workers and riders as soon as possible. Last year at Capital Metro, a bus operator was attacked and robbed by just requesting that they pay the fare. And this is just one case that hit the news. Even more are never even reported. As workers, we want to have a safe operation for the public. We do not want people to feel like they can come and just beat up people without any consequences. We urge you to pass House Bill 689 to prevent further assaults on Texas public transit.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Thank you. Thank you. Chair calls Brigido Almanza. We show you registered as Brigido.
Close enough. It's actually Brígido Almanza.
Bill.
Yeah, Brígido's Portuguese, Almanza Spanish.
And you represent ATU Local 694 and SELF,
Yes, that's correct.
and you're testifying on for or against House Bill 689.
I am for.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Of course, Ms. Gervin Hawkins did mention about the assaults and everything. I'm the president of Amalgamated Local 694 out of San Antonio, Texas. I've been there 24 years. I'm a bus operator. You know, honestly, I do care about our customers, about our patrons. But after COVID, it's gotten a lot worse. It's not just locally, but nationwide. And you mentioned about the mental illness. Yes, it's a small percentage of the mental illness, but there's much more than that. I mean, we have everyone from little 12-year-old kids to young men to even grandmothers and grandfathers just taking their anger out on the operators and other patrons, and it's getting out of hand. And you know what? I've never seen anything like that. I'm prior military. I think I'd rather be out in the battlefield getting shot at because at least I can shoot back. But you know, I mean, it is what it is. We cope with it. I'm there to inform our patrons, not to enforce anything. I don't have a badge or a gun. So these are the concerns I have. And they know when they do something, it's going to take time for law enforcement to get there. So that literally they don't run away, they walk away from any incidents that happens on the bus. And that's in San Antonio. We're the 7th largest city, creeping up number 6. So we do have transit police, but for some of the customers, even with the 11 cameras we have on the bus, it doesn't really matter. They're going to do what they want to do. So these are the concerns that we have. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Yeah. And you show a little issue we need to clear up. You registered against the bill.
No, for.
Do you-
I might have hit the wrong
Do we have your
button.
permission to correct that?
Yes, I'm not too computer savvy on that little thing.
Okay. Yes, questions? Seeing none, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Y'all have a good day.
That's it. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 689? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Gervin Hawkins to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, for allowing me to lay out this bill. And Representative Little, some of it is mental illness, and some of it is just plain butt heads that feel that these drivers are vulnerable, and they want to come in and take advantage of it. So can you imagine being in a confined space, and you've got someone who just want to be a bad actor, and they come in and they feel that, you know, they could hurt you in any kind of way, and the police take their time to come. So just having knowledge that they can go to prison for this, I think will reduce it substantially. And with that, Mr. Chair, I close unless there's any questions.
Any questions?
All right. All right. Thank y'all so much.
If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none. House Bill 689 is left pending. Chair lays out House Bill 3565 and recognizes Chairman Cook to explain the bill.
Thank you, Chairman Louderback and members for the opportunity to present House Bill 3565. I'll be quick and know that others are waiting. But basically, currently under Section 38.15A of the Penal Code, a person commits the Class B misdemeanor offense of interference with public duties if they disrupt, interrupt, impede, or interfere with the following public servants while they are conducting their official duties: peace officers or police canines, EMS and fire, animal control, and county public health, environmental radiation, or safety officials. For these public servants, every day and every encounter on the job is inherently dangerous, as you know, Chairman. Specifically for law enforcement, when an officer is working a traffic stop or accident scene, dealing with an outside party who is screaming or encroaching the officer's physical space can cause unnecessary distractions and escalation. Additionally, the officer may have to call for backup to deal with the outside party, taking precious resources away from other emergency calls. In Tarrant County, some individuals actively seek out opportunities to interfere with law enforcement during service calls, film the encounters, and post them to YouTube, where the footage is monetized. The current criminal penalty for interference with public duties is a Class B misdemeanor, and this bill simply moves to a state jail felony. While the First Amendment protects the right to film law enforcement interactions, the right should not extend to behavior which obstructs a public servant's ability to do their job. Members, I'll be glad to answer any questions. This bill was brought to us by the Tarrant County District Attorney Phil Sorrell's office, and would be glad to answer any questions. Would like an opportunity to close when appropriate. And this bill has been passed by the Senate in the form of Senate Bill 1208 and is in the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee at this time.
Members, any questions for Chairman Cook?
I know that thank you, Chairman Lauterbach.
Let me get,
Yeah,
please show Representative Bowers in attendance.
thank you. I know we're short on time, so just a quick question.
Yes, sir.
You don't touch any of the conduct related to interference?
That's
This
correct.
is
We
just the
strike
penalty.
three
Just a
words
straight-
and
straight penalty
swap out
enhancement. Okay.
Class B misdemeanor with state jail felony. That's
Got
it. Yeah.
And does the Senate bill is identical to that? It doesn't
Yeah.
tinker with the underlying offense?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair calls William Vassar. Sir, we show you registered as William Vassar, Assistant Criminal District Attorney. Let's see. Phil Sorrells, Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're here today, you represent who we said, and you're testifying on for or against House Bill 3565.
For Chairman.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So my name is Bill Vassar. I've been a prosecutor at the Tarrant County DA's office for over 22 years, and I want to tell you all what I've been telling the juries the past 2 years when I've been trying these cases. Nobody is saying you can't film the police. Sadly, whether we like it or not, nobody is saying you can't cuss, scream at, or antagonize the police. What we are saying is you just can't interfere with their ability to investigate a case. What we are seeing in Tarrant County are individuals are inserting themselves on traffic stops. They're inserting themselves on domestic violence investigations. They're inserting themselves on warrant service, where police officers are trying to arrest violent fugitives. They're running up to police officers with their cameras. They are screaming at them. They are cussing at them. They're demanding their name and badge number. And they are physically getting in their investigation. And the problem with that is it's a public safety issue, because I'm amazed in the 20 or 30 cases that I've dealt with in Tarrant County that nobody's gotten hurt. So why do we need to make this a felony? Because we are just having the same group of people are getting arrested over and over again. A couple days in the Tarrant County jail is worth it for them to post it on YouTube and make money off of it. So we're very in support of this bill. I would just ask that you consider this, because I think we really need to give our men and women in blue just a little breathing room when they're conducting investigations, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any members, any questions?
Just real quick, and
Matt Moody.
thank you very
Chairman.
much, Chairman. I appreciate that. If we're talking about law enforcement, frontline law enforcement, I'm just looking through the statute. A1, peace officer. A2 is emergency medical services. A3 is firefighter. A4 is the peace officer's service and the animal, the canine with them. A5 has to do with transmission. If this is really targeted to frontline law enforcement, maybe the penalty enhancement should be for certain ones of these and not the entire group of them. But if it's to be broader as the whole statute, because statute is more than just peace officers.
Sure.
It's a whole bunch of interaction. And it may be their position that it should apply to all of these, but I just, the examples keep being peace officer, peace
Right.
officer. So, you know, just a thought. I don't know if we want to look at stair-stepping that penalty when we're talking about frontline law enforcement, or if we want to go to everybody that's covered under the statute. And we can talk about that later. I know we're short on time, but just a thought.
Sure. And I'll tell you, the only thing that I've seen personally in Tarrant County are frontline officers.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
Representative Little.
Thank you, Chairman. So, Mr. Vassar, I had similar concern to Representative Moody. I think you could probably tailor this to peace officers in A1 and be better off. Certainly, I agree with you. It can endanger officers. One of the concerns that I have is the breadth of the statute as it relates to interrupting, disrupting, impeding, or otherwise interfering with. And it seems to me that captures a broad range of conduct, right? How are peace officers trained on what constitutes a violation of this provision? Because it's pretty easy to imagine an interruption of a peace officer.
Sure.
And it certainly different from an assault or a true interference preventing a police officer from handcuffing somebody or something along those lines. So can you just explain that to me?
Sure, and I can explain what Fort Worth PD is training their officers to do.
Okay.
Fort Worth PD is telling their officers, find a line of demarcation, meaning that chair right there. Sir, you're welcome to film over there, but you've got to stay by that chair, okay? So that's what we are training them to do. The problem is, these individuals are not doing that, right? These officers are having to say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, you've got to stand over there. They give individuals multiple times, and then they finally say, look, if you do it one more time, we're going to arrest you. So these officers are trained to really, tell them to stay over there, be calm with them. They're welcome to film, but they've got to get out of their investigation.
Okay, thank you. Chairman.
Representative Little, Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Little, as well. Thank you for your testimony, and I guess I just have questions about the line of demarcation.
Sure.
And, like, what is the number, or is there a space that you think is significant?
So there's no bright line rule, and I think Florida right now is trying to pass maybe a 10 or 15 yard barrier, but in Texas we don't have a bright line rule. So what Fort Worth PD is trying to say, pick a tree, pick a line in the concrete or a car, something roughly 10 yards for them to stay behind and film. And what's really amazing to me is that it's pretty impressive that when our officers are getting screamed at, that they are able to remain calm, say, look, sir, you're welcome to film over there. You just got to stand over there.
Thank you, and I appreciate that because I guess I'm thinking about the de-escalation in that point
Sure.
in time when that person comes up and sees something that they think is out of line or whatnot. And, I think about my own family that's in law enforcement and that it could create a public safety issue. But I also have concerns because I feel like if they're filming and if no one catches it, then when something is out of line and it would not be reported, it would go unreported.
Absolutely. And again, in what I've been telling juries the past 2 years, nobody's saying you can't film. That is 2025. We have that right. Everybody has cell phones. It's just if an officer is conducting a traffic stop, right, and I'm the officer and I'm talking to somebody in a car, you can't be right here with a phone in my face screaming at me,
Sure.
right? And because what happens, obviously, is the officer turns to address that individual. Now they're not worrying about their investigation.
Right. Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
ADA Vassar, let me see if I can touch on exactly what's going on here. In open air investigations or open air inquisitions wherever we're being called for service. If you direct someone to go behind that chair in an open air, they simply move the chair.
Right.
So it usually results very, very decidedly into a call for additional units. And we actually are running into situations where investigations can't continue until other units get there, hold a crowd back, or a developing crowd situation. So these things are ever growing, especially in open air areas. So where crowds have congregated or begin to congregate. So this is would you agree with that? This is what we're seeing over and over again.
Absolutely, and it's also a resource situation. 'Cause
Absolutely.
A recent case that I tried, it was merely a DWI investigation, and we had 2 people showing up filming. Well, now because it's one officer with a DWI investigation, we have to have backup, right? Oftentimes, these interference cases, they turn into resisting cases. That is additional officers. In addition, these people, as part of their play with the police, then they're demanding a supervisor. So then that means a sergeant or a lieutenant now has to come out to the scene to deal with that person. So it's, in lack of a better terms, it's really taking officers off the street.
Very, very common. Thank you. Representative Bowers.
Thank you, Chairman Lauterbach. So, have you seen an increase in this and like over what time period? I guess because as you said, ADA, that we're looking at now people have cell phones and
Right.
so.
I would say and I'm just going to speak to Tarrant County and Fort Worth. I would say the past 2 years, this is really becoming a problem. And they kind of work in a network because they all have YouTube channels. So they'll be in Fort Worth one weekend, they'll be in Houston the next, then they'll be in Austin, because, they're monetizing this.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Chair calls Kirsten Budwine. Morning. We show you registered as Kirsten Budwine from the Texas Civil Rights Project.
Yes, sir.
And you are testifying on for or against House Bill 3565?
Against.
Against.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead.
HB 3565 increases the criminal penalty for the offense of interference with public duties from a Class B, which is 180 days in jail, up to a $2,000 fine, to a state jail felony, which is up to 2 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Interfering with public duties is broadly defined as a person who interrupts, disrupts, impedes, or otherwise interferes with a peace officer while the officer is performing a duty. People who film the police or protest are often charged with this offense. Protesting and recording police officers are both protected speech under the First Amendment and should not be considered felonious conduct. As the previous witness stated, there is no bright line rule for uniform training for this type of offense. I'm aware of situations where officers who do not want to be filmed, period, or at all, have used this as a weapon against the person who is filming. We are completely against trying to increase the criminal penalties for what is not only protected speech, but what is oftentimes nonviolent conduct that poses no threat to law enforcement. This will have a chilling effect on the rights that we all hold near and dear to us. People will be deterred from holding officers accountable and protesting in fear of being stamped as a felon for the rest of their lives. Rather than punishing citizens for the nonviolent conduct, we should be encouraging this type of conduct. For these reasons, we are opposed to that was the identical bill, HB 3565. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else who wishes to testify on for or against House Bill 3565? Not, Chair recognizes Chairman Cook, close on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman. And Speaker Moody, I'm happy to, we've already made some notes there, and we're happy to limit it to law enforcement. We appreciate the committee's favorable consideration. I know we're at a late hour in the legislative process, but I would certainly appreciate the committee's favorable consideration and the ability to move it through with the suggestion from Speaker Moody. If there's not any other questions, I close.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, sir.
If there is no objection, the bill will be left pending. Chair hears none, and House Bill 3565 is left pending. Representative Kitson, we're going to try to get with you. We're going to have to take a recess at 8:58. So Chair lays out House Bill 5467 and recognizes Chair Kitson to explain the bill. Well, thank you, Representative Moody, in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'll try to talk fast. Thank you for allowing me to lay out House Bill 5467 relating to creating the criminal offense of continuous manufacture or delivery of a controlled substance. This legislation aims to create a new offense for offenders who engaging in manufacturing, selling, or delivering of substance less than 1 gram and have been charged for such crimes 2 or more times during a 12-month period. The need for this legislation stems from the limitations of punishment for dealing with small-scale dealers who commit multiple drug deals back-to-back before being arrested or resume their drug dealing while on bond or after being released from jail. For example, drug task force operations often encounter small-time dealers who exclusively sell in small amounts that are less than 1 gram, but still can move a substantial amount of product in small increments. Unless law enforcement were to find a significant supply of substances during a search warrant, they are stuck with charging these types of perpetrators with only multiple lesser charges. House Bill 5467 will allow law enforcement to charge these small-scale dealers with a third-degree felony, which would be used to enhance possible first, second, or third-degree felonies where a state jail felony cannot. I have a witness, and I reserve the right to close.
Thanks, sir. Any questions for Chair Kitzman? Seeing none, Chair calls Bennett Dodson. We shall be registered as Bennett Dodson, ADA for Waller County Criminal District Attorney's Office and SELP.
Yes, sir. I'm here on behalf of the Waller County District Attorney's Office, and of course I am in support of this bill. My name is Bennett Dodson. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today. I'm here on behalf of this bill. My name is Bennett Dodson. I am currently a senior misdemeanor ADA at Waller County. Before that, for the past 5 years, I was our assigned narcotics prosecutor. I worked closely with the high-intensity drug trafficking area task force in our county, and I dealt primarily with those situations that Senator Kitzman is talking about. Frankly, to put these guys away for any serious amount of time, the police have to get lucky because we live in a small community. They're not. The thing we frequently hear is this guy's not a kingpin. He's not moving big amounts. But when you add up all the amounts he has sold, it is a large amount. You are getting in that 400 to 200, possibly even more than 200. And we're only for every one time the police catch them, they've dealt 5, 6, 7 times, and it has an outsized impact on Waller County, which is a small rural community. These dealers only deal to people they know, which means they are basically specifically targeting our poorest, our least educated, our most vulnerable members of our population, and it leads to deaths, it leads to child endangerment, and they basically get away with it. These people are career drug dealers. That's all they do when they're not in jail. They live off Social Security and their drug funds, and to them, going to state jail for less than 1 gram is just a cost of doing business. They go sit down for 6 months, a year, 2 years, which is the maximum. They get back out, they go right back to the same house, they go right back to the same amount of dealing. You know, I could name a dozen individuals right now that I know have committed these offenses over and over and over again, and we simply can't take them out of the community because the punishment range is not there. This offense would give us an immediate, useful tool on the streets to remove these individuals from the community. And I strongly urge the committee to consider this bill and give us that tool to remove these individuals from the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Any questions for this witness? Go ahead, Representative Miller.
thank you.
Nope. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else. Does anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against House Bill 5467? If not, the chair recognizes Chair Kitzman to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even drug dealers understand the economy of scale that our major retailers engage in every day. We thank you for your kind consideration of this bill and appreciate you putting us on the agenda. Please consider House Bill 5467, and I close.
Thank you, Chair. If there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. The chair hears none, and House Bill 5467 is left pending. Yeah. If we don't finish, let's see here. Adjourn. Members, that concludes today's agenda. Is there any further business for the committee to address? If not, the chair moves to adjourn it. Is there objection? Hearing none, the committee stands adjourned, subject to the call of the chair.